Hello, 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 and welcome to Season 2 of Skinterviews. I'm one of your two hosts. My name is George Skandalis, and this guy is...
Nathan Strong.
Oh, you came in with a lot of energy there, Nathan.
I did.
What's going on? How are you?
I'm very good, mate, and tonight's guest, he has a soft spot for the two of us, doesn't he?
You know what? I don't want him to have a soft spot for the two of us because I get very jealous because he's one of my faves. But before we go to our guest, we got to cover a few things. Like number one, we're proudly sponsored by Fullscript. So round of applause if you're sitting at home for Fullscript. Fullscript is the ultimate platform for those who want to do wellness the right way, the personal way. It has the industry's most comprehensive catalog of over 300 plus professionally quality products, making safe supplements more accessible and affordable, and making personalized treatments plans available from the doctor to the patient. This is a big thing because there's no more guessing games left with supplementation, and you can get the answers you want directly from your doctor. Nathan, before we go to our guests, I want to address some of the comments and questions we've been getting from our viewers. So
Fair enough.
The first one is, love the new look. You guys are my favorite duo. We agree. We love you too.
Was that my mum?
I'm not saying names. I don't want to embarrass anyone. We got another one here saying, why don't you ask about skin problems since your show is called Skinterviews and you've got the best of the best on your show? That's a good question. So we don't ask about skin problems because you can head over to our professionals pages and ask them, because that's where you're going to get the best medical advice. And to be honest, social media is not the way to ask your questions. You want to answer to one of your skin problems, I want you to go into the clinic and get a professional medical consultation by one of these doctors. The whole point of our show is to show these doctors in the most humanized form, to take the mask off, to let you know who it is you're dealing with, attached to somebody that you want to know, you want to get to see, you want to be injected by them, you want to be treated by them, you want all your skin problems or concerns to be addressed by them because you can relate to them. That's why we have them here. Well, one more here. Oh, we got two more. I'm sorry. How do I know if my doctor has Fullscript service? I went to their website and they don't have it. Big fail. Your doctor's got to get it. Tell your doctor that you're interested in and would like some recommendations. Your doctor can reach us on our Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook. Look us up at skin.terviews. And the last one, nice to see my two favorite people in the industry back again. I love you guys. I think it says I love you guys. It could say I like you guys. I'll go with I love you guys. We love you too. And most of all, we love tonight's guest. He's one of my favorites. I don't shy away from speaking my mind on who is and isn't my favorite. I'm very outspoken, much like his wife, but I've got the softest spot for this man tonight. And he knows it, and the whole industry knows it. His staff, his team, the amazing, amazing co-owner of ICLS Skin Spa and Plastic Surgery Dermatology, all in one spot. My favorite place to be. My favorite guy to converse with because he's so much more than just an incredible dermatologist. We've got Dr. Sheetal Sapra. Hey, hey, hey!
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 Oh, God. What an introduction. I'm blushing, but you can't see it because I'm a brown guy. I'm actually blushing. And for the record, George, I love you too, man.
I love it. I love it. But not as you don't love me more. You love me more than Nathan.
Pass.
I'll take it now because that means I can ask you more questions that you wouldn't want me to know.
Well, to be honest, his wife did choose me in season 1, so it's fair.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah, okay. All right. Then it is fair. How are you, doctor?
Absolutely awesome, man. Thanks for having me on the show. I did tell you this is my bedtime, so if I fall asleep a little bit, you just gotta put that alarm on and I'll wake right up when you're ready. But I do love it. Thanks for having me on.
Try to keep it interesting to keep you awake through the whole interview. I know Nathan can get a little boring, but
Well, this is one of those nights we're just going to take it out on Nathan, George. Are you trying to get me on your side to just beat up on Nathan? I know not to become between two good buddies, buddy. I know that. I'm going to keep you keep trying to draw me in. I'm just going to pass on that one.
Nathan and I have an open relationship. So season 1, we were honored enough for Women's Week to have Julie, your wife, Dr. Julie Khanna, on the show. And we had said right from there and on that we're going to get Dr. Sapra on season 2. And here you are, and here we are. And we are, honestly, we're so lucky to have you here because we know how busy you are. You run one of the most, if not the most successful clinics in Canada. And having you here means a lot to both of us because we speak so highly of you behind the camera as well, and when we're out in the industry. And it really means a lot to us. We know how busy you are. So thank you. Let's get all the thank yous out of the way right now.
Well, I'm going to thank you for having me on, and I'm going to thank you for those beautiful words, man. And it's not Julie Khanna, Dr. Julie Khanna. I just call her the amazing Julie K. That's
amazing Julie K.
The amazing
all right.
Julie K. That's how you refer to my wife. The amazing Julie K.
Is she in the room holding a knife to you, or are we good?
I just finished cooking dinner for everybody. They're all outside eating outside, and I'm sitting here chatting with you guys. So I like that.
Yeah. Well, then before we get right into the interview, what was for dinner tonight?
Oh, it was amazing. So I took these cherry tomatoes, I roasted them, put a little bit of burrata, sliced up some basil, arugula around that, a little balsamic vinaigrette. So like a share plate, right? And then dinner itself was what I call garbage mashed potatoes, veal milanese with your classic little sauce on top of it. It's just beautiful. Oh. But don't forget I'm vegetarian, so I had one veggie with no egg, one veggie, and just 2 veal milaneses. The rest were all vegetarian. I'm the only guy that eats veal in the house, so hey, it happens.
Well, if you invite me over to dinner, I'll be the third.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. All right, let's get right into our interview tonight. We're going to go right back to the day you were born. You enter this world, you have your first cry, your parents decide to name you. I want your full name at birth, and if there's any meaning behind your name, how you got to that, how your parents chose that name.
My full name is Sheetal Sapra. Okay. I was born in 1959 at M.M. Shah Hospital in Nairobi, Kenya. So I came out of the world in Africa, as an Indian guy in Africa, into a family with 2 brothers that were still around. And we were all a year and a half apart. I guess my parents were busy. They were just trying to get it all out. And I grew up into this house where we lived in this communal house with 3 families and 50 people living in a 2,000 square foot house, right, in the middle of Africa. Wow. And it was a pretty hectic upbringing. My 3 brothers were banned from almost every house that my mother was ever invited to, because we would just go in there and demolish a house. Because we were the biggest rascals you've ever met in your life. I left there when I was 16 and came to Canada. And, I think that was a good move. It got me out of a place where I didn't want to be.
So there were 4 of you growing up then?
There was 3 brothers initially. And then, of course, I was the baby of the family and I was the favorite. And 7 years into my life, rudely, my younger brother decides to come into my life. And I said, what's going on here? So my younger brother, I absolutely loved, came in, and he became the little baby of the family, which actually is good, because then you become this middle child that can do whatever you want to do, because nobody's looking at you. They're always looking at the oldest. They're always looking at the youngest, and you just get lost in the middle, and you do whatever the hell you want to do, and that was a beautiful life.
So growing up, your youngest brother was the favorite, and now at this stage, who would you say in adult life became the favorite?
Of course, me.
I'd agree with that. I'd agree with that 100%.
It have to be me. I mean, no. My parents passed away, but near the end, we were very close, very close. And I still stay close to my brothers. Both my brothers still live in Kenya. And, it's one of those things that I need to keep in touch with them. We're busy working. So I'll leave here on a Thursday night, get on a plane, get on my BA flight, go through Heathrow, land in Kenya on a Friday night, have dinner with one brother, have dinner with another brother, and then come back on Sunday and back to work on Monday. And I would do that twice a year just to keep in touch with my family, because they're so far away and it's hard for them to come here. So I just go there twice a year, visit them, get back, and it's good. It's good.
Cool. Wow. I can 100% relate with that, with my family being so far away as well. But I've got some photos I want to show you of you growing up. So talk us through these photos here, Dr. Sapra.
The photo on the right is me with my mom and dad and my 3 brothers. You can see we're all young. And
Yep.
we went to a little school in Kenya called St. Mary's School, and we all had to wear uniforms. That's my little brother Ashman.
Yep.
On the left, it's me on my first trip back from Canada. Love the bell bottoms there, guys. That was 1977, I think, in our living room. The hair as long as I can make it. And I think I was probably I was a little out of the fashion loop. I think I was wearing platforms at that time. They were kind of done in the late 70s, but I was still holding on to them.
I love that. I love that. So talk to us a little bit about your family and talk about, say, growing up in the weekends. What was like a special thing you and your family would get up to that you still remember today?
Growing up in Kenya was crazy because we lived in this house. There was lots of there, and all the kids in their neighborhood would get together, right? So at any time, we'd just get up and we'd just leave the house on our bikes. Our mothers wouldn't know where we were. We would just terrorize the whole neighborhood. We would play cricket. We would play hockey. We would do all of those things. And then we would just come home and we were there. But there was no TV. There was no Netflix. There was nothing to do but play with each other and have hobbies, right? The favorite thing I used to do, and I think this is where my love for eating came out, because there's not much to do in Kenya, right? You're living in there. There's no TV. You're playing with your buddies. It's boring. But my dad used to love eating out. And every Sunday, around 2 or 3 in the afternoon, we'd get into a car, drive around Nairobi to see where all the rich people lived, and then he would take me out to a different restaurant every weekend. So we would go to the Hilton, or we would go there, and we'd go to Marino's, we'd go to Kenya. And I would sit there, and it was so exciting because I could actually order off a menu. I mean, my kids have done that since the day they were born. Order off a menu, this food would magically come in front of me with a fork and a knife that I had to learn to eat. Because when I was growing up and I picked up a fork, my mother would say, "What's wrong with your fingers?" Right? Because I'm Indian, you eat with your fingers. What's wrong with your fingers? So I learned with a fork and a knife in restaurants. So that was my special thing. And I think that's where my love for eating out and exploring the 100 best restaurants in the world, which is what I've been doing for the last 2 years, came from. And
Awesome.
it was a very simple time. Everything was just fine. And I still remember at the age of 16, my dad said, "I'm going to send you to England to go to school." And I said, "No, I'm not going to do that." And he says, "Where do you want to go?" I says, "I want to go to Canada." He says, "Why?" Well, the son of the ambassador for Canada used to sit right next to me. And he was from BC, and he would tell me all about Victoria and Tofino and Port Alberni. I didn't even know what Port Alberni was, and I don't even know why it exists. But apparently it was a lumber town. I said, "Dad, I can go to England. I can never be an Englishman. I can stay here, but I can't be Kenyan. But anyone can be a Canadian. I'm getting on that plane. I want to go to Canada." So at the age of 16, I came with my brothers to Canada. We got off a plane in Vancouver. And I've stayed here for the rest of my life. I love this country.
Wow.
That's a wonderful story. So talking about your childhood, what's the first birthday you remember? How old were you?
I was probably about 3 years old.
Yeah.
And we were in on a boat to India. And I remember this birthday for only one reason. Me and my brother, very mischievous brother called Gogi, were sitting in, and these boats, they weren't like cruise ships now. There were probably about 800 people on this boat, right? And they had they had one little swing set that we could go onto. And my brother fell off that swing set and broke the arm. And I've never seen my mom that upset in my life. "How could you fall off a swing set, break his arm?" And I was terrified. I thought she was going to kill us both. My brother was hurt. She just yelled at him, but everything ended up. And that's my first birthday I remember, only for that reason.
I love it. I love it. Now, let's talk about your parents a little bit more. What's one of the best lessons they taught you when you were growing up as kids, or taught you and your brothers?
They were both very different. My dad was, don't forget, we grew up in a colonized country, right? And can I be frank here?
Yeah.
I'm a brown guy, right? I grew up in a colonized country. We got independence in '63. When I grew up, there was no independence, right?
Yeah.
And as an Indian guy, you didn't have much say in what went on, right? And I'm going to say this, and you guys may get mad at me. At that point in Kenya, if you were white, you were right. And all the jobs went there. So it was really hard for my dad to get into it. But he worked really hard. He opened up a little studio called Sapra Studio. And he used to take photographs of weddings and families. From there, he went to a little shop. And then he started working harder and harder and harder. and he opened up a chain of camera stores in Nairobi, right? And we said, well, why would you need a chain of camera stores in Nairobi where all the tourists would come in? So he got to know all these people. That's how I ended up in Canada, because one of the people that he met was Miller's Jewelers in Vancouver, and he helped sponsor us over. But the one thing I learned about my dad, he was driven, he was bright, he made decisions, and he worked hard. And I still remember one of my favorite things would be to get up on a Saturday morning. And I've got two favorite memories of my dad, and just go to work. We'd go into the store, and I would just work the store with him. I'd do the cash, I would do that, I would sell trinkets to tourists, would be there. And the second favorite memory I have is every Sunday morning we'd get up and we'd go to the local market to shop for the whole week. And my dad would do all the shopping and set the menu plan for the whole week. And I guess that's what I do now, because I do all the cooking in the house. And I think that comes from what he used to do. My mom was absolutely crazy. All she wanted to do was feed us, right? And I still remember at the age of 13, I'm sitting in front of a tailor and he's measuring me. And he's looking at my mother going, oh, Mimsab. What are you doing with this boy? 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 And he's, look at him. I had a 42-inch waist at the age of 13. You know, I weighed 174 pounds. I was 5 years old. It was just crazy. And that all came from my mom, because she loved feeding me. And that's where I think I love eating and love food so much. It's funny how I just put that together. It's funny how your childhood what you do.
I love that you're discovering yourself on Skinterviews. This is great.
I just worked all day, right? I haven't thought of my parents for years, because they died about almost in 2001. They've been dead for 20 years almost. So.
Well, that's the whole point of the show. We want to get to know you, and if you can get to know yourself better, we're doing something right.
We're doing
something right. You know, growing up, did you have a favorite teacher? And was there a teacher maybe that picked on you?
There's a lot of teachers that picked on me, but there was a teacher that actually turned me around.
And who was that?
That was Mrs. Bruce, right? So imagine, and this is something you don't see in Canada. You'll see this if you've grown up in a colony, or if you've gone into a system where the British have been, right? Because it was actually a very stream school. You had 1A, 1B, 1C. 1A was for the really smart kids that were destined to be there. 1B for those people that could go everywhere. And 1C for those guys that you're just going to go into, forget, just get them out of school, do whatever you want to do with them. I'm sitting there in 7C, and Mrs. Bruce came down and sat next to me and said, Sheetal. Yeah, Mrs. Bruce, what's up? She said, you're not stupid. I said, of course I'm stupid. I'm in 7C. And she took me under her wing, and she actually made me realize school is actually pretty simple. All you got to do is listen and do a little bit of hard work and have a tendency to go there. And that basically changed my life. So I went from 7C to Form 2A, did my O-levels, came straight to Canada, and it was just been history since that. That woman changed my life, and I owe her big time.
I love that. Before I pass you on to Nathan, I want to know one of your most embarrassing or naughty stories from you growing up, or even as an adult. Give me a funny story here. What do you got for me?
The good sauce.
Okay. So there was one of these times when I was grade 5, right? And the teacher came in and I screamed at her, right? And I scared her, which was fine. Everyone was laughing. And then the headmaster, who's a Jesuit priest, I forget his name because I went to a Catholic school, right? She went there, and the headmaster, she sent me to the school, and usually the headmaster deals with it. But he's decided to do it differently this time. So he marches me back to class, makes me bend over, and gives me 6 of the best. Caned me right in front of the class. Oh. And I couldn't stop crying, and I got teased for the whole year because I cried because I got caned. Well, it hurt like hell, okay?
Wow.
Wow.
I'm supposed to laugh. I feel bad for you right now.
Well, it was funny, but it was kind of sad at the same time.
Okay, Dr. Sapra, I want to bring up a very special person in your life. I'm just going to bring up some photos here, and then I've got some questions to follow. But let's talk about these photos first. Can you see those?
Yeah. The one in the middle is special because that was Julie's special birthday. And you guys, I gotta tell you something. My wife is absolutely beautiful. right? You take a look at
She's
her.
awesome.
Absolutely a beautiful person, but she's beautiful too. And that was a special day because all our kids was with her and all the special people were there for her special birthday. The one on the left is because she'd never skied before. And the one on the right with me on the ski hill with her, we'd never skied before. And skiing became a special part of our family to the point where we actually bought a chalet and we go there on the weekends and we ski as a family. It's been important. And the left is just we were at a wedding wearing Indian clothes. And that's not a special photo, but that one in the middle is really, that was a very special night. That was her 50th birthday party. The whole family was there. All our closest friends was there. It was just magical. That was a magical night.
It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. And talking of Dr. Canna, I've got a couple of questions to ask about the two of you. So I want to know who is the real boss in the household between the two of you.
Do you really have to ask me that?
we want to hear it come from you on Skinterviews.
Have you met Julie Kay?
We have.
You
We
know,
love her dearly.
she has my testicles on her bedside table. I asked her, maybe can I have my testicles today? And if she's in the mood, she'll give them to me.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Wow. So
all jokes aside, right? The people that are good at doing things should do them. And Julie is a kind person. That's an amazing mother. Forget being an amazing surgeon. Forget about being the most empathetic doctor I've ever met. When it comes to forget about that. But as a person and as a mother, she has patience. She can look after things. So in our house, there's divisions of labor, right? She will look after the kids. She will look after everything that needs to be fixed in the house. She'll make sure everything's done well. I do all the cooking. I make sure there's good food. I make sure there's always champagne in the house and always good wine in the house. So that's my role. Her role is to basically run the house. And when she runs it with a kind heart and a firm hand. And you got to listen to that because what she does is great for this family. She's
I love it.
Absolutely amazing.
So let's talk about maybe annoying things about yourself. What's the one thing that you think annoys your lovely wife that you do?
What every man does. I never listen.
That would be the same in my household as well. I think.
Never listen. When she's talking, I can keep interrupting her. She'll say, "Will you just sit down and listen one day?" So I've learned to listen and not interrupt.
Yes. And the two of you have created this wonderful family. I'm going to bring up some photos of your wonderful family. I'd love you to speak to these photos here.
You know, on the left, it's me and my little boy Bobo. I call him Bobo. Is Sheetal Sapra. He's brilliant. He is he's a champion climber. He won the provincial senior champion rock climbing in Canada. He's bright. He's in law school, going Ivy. He's just a wonderful soul. I absolutely love him. He's my firstborn for me and Julie. The one below is that when Rahul got into Ivy at Weston, that was pretty amazing. That's the other one. The one that's on an angle on the right hand side is us and where's the Queen live, guys? I'm having a blind. The castle in England. My God.
Buckingham Palace.
That's Buckingham Palace. So we went to the garden party at Buckingham Palace. One thing a lot of people don't know, we only had 2 kids until about 12 or 14 years ago, and then my brother died in Kenya. And I rang up Julie, and this is something about Julie. I said, babe, you know, there's 3 kids here, and each one brother wants to take 1 kid. What I'd like to do is just bring them back to Canada with me. The youngest was 14 at that time. That was Priya. Rocky was about 17 years old, and Rishi had just moved to Canada to be with me, and he was 19. And Julie said, pack the bags. I'll call the schools. We'll figure it out. So I'm in Buckingham Palace with my 2 daughters, Priya and Rocky there. Priya Rocky's a communications manager with one of the companies, and Priya just finished her medical residency at Harvard, and she's going to stay in Boston Because darn it, she met a guy. She met a guy from a Harvard MBA guy, and I think she's going to end up marrying him. So
Wow.
he hasn't asked me, so I don't know if they do that nowadays. But he asked me if he can marry my daughter. I mean, that's normal. That's what used to happen when I was a kid. But things have changed a little bit nowadays. So that's that. And the small little black and white is us. I think that was again at Julie's 50th birthday party with all of us. And the one on top of that is our extended family, where Julie's mom and dad are there, my whole family was there, and my best friend Johnny's there as well. So Johnny goes everywhere with me. He's here right now. He just drove in from Kingston. He comes down every weekend. We just spend our weekends together with the family. We call him Uncle Jay or Cudge, Crazy Uncle John. And that's basically my family. So right now I have 5 kids, 2 that were my own and 3 that came from my brother. But the ones that came from my brother, that look more like my wife than my own kids. So
I love that story. And if there was one interview that got me very teary-eyed in season 1, it was your wives, and this one's getting me a little bit teary-eyed now, just you talking us through your family and going back to season.
Wonderful family. I mean, they're all sitting out there in the loggia right now having this beautiful meal in front of the lake. They're just sitting there and they're just having a great time. And the key is in a family to make the moments where you're comfortable together, to stay together, to be nice to each other and support each other. And Julie Kay sets that in the family. If it isn't that, it doesn't happen in this family. And that's important to have. The love between us is important. You have to. Right now, during COVID, there's 6 of us living in this house. So that's a lot of people all fighting to get onto the internet.
Yeah. So I'm going to cross-reference a little bit of season 1. Well, your lovely wife told us how you guys met. And so I've got a question to relate to season 1. When you and your lovely wife met, was it love at first sight or did you grow on each other?
That's simple for me to answer, right? So don't think badly of me, right? I'm just going to set a scene that's different. This is the 80s, right? Everything went on in the 80s. I was doing my residency in Ottawa. I had a steady girlfriend. I was dating a few other girls on the side. I don't know that isn't good and not cool, but that just used to happen, right? I walk into this room, really, because as residents and interns, we would put on parties just to meet everybody else, right? I walk into this room with my best buddy, Ernie Stanley, and I just walk in, and I see this girl in the corner with this long, glowing hair. I go right up to her, and I say, "Hi, I'm Sheetal." She says, "Hi, I'm Julie." I said, "Would you like a glass of wine or a beer?" She said, "I don't drink. Can I cook you dinner sometime? I make a wicked chicken tikka masala." And she said, "I don't eat meat." I said, "Okay." I turned right around. I went to my buddy Ernie and I said, "See that girl? I'm going to marry her." Ernie just started laughing. He knew me and he said, "You're never going to settle down. You're just a dog. You're a bad guy." I said, "No, I'm going to marry this girl." 2 days later, I called my mom and dad and said, "I met the girl I'm going to marry."
No way.
Wow.
3 months later, I'm going up an escalator now. She's going down an escalator at the Ottawa General. I look at her, sit down, and said, "Would you like a coffee?" She said, "Sure." We sat down. The first thing I said to her, I said, "You don't know this, but I'm going to marry you."
Wow.
I had known from the day I met that girl, I was going to marry her. I just absolutely love her. I think it took her a while to grow onto me, though. I guess she didn't know what to do with me. I really seriously think guys know who they're going to marry the day they meet him. Nathan, how about you? Did you know?
Yeah, similar story. I met my wife in a hostel, but she was in Brazil. She was serving and I was drinking, and the first conversation, there was something special about her. I don't know, like it just, you get the wobbly knees. I'm guessing you got the wobbly knees as well. And I said to my friends, like, I'll do whatever it takes to stay in touch with her because I think she's going to be my best shot at getting married.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You just know. George, did you know?
I
don't know if you married yet?
I am. I knew. We hadn't even said hello, and I knew. We were.
So me, similar to that.
It's become the running joke because we were out to dinner and he was sitting at the next table and he smiled and I turned around to my friend. I'm like, oh, shit. She's like, what? I'm like, that's the person I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. That was literally what came out of my mouth. And I wanted to be a player that summer. Like, I wanted to have fun. And I literally, that was the first thing that came out. I said, oh, shit, that's going to be the person I spend the rest of my life with. And it was true. We knew right from the minute we met.
I know. Guys know, and I think we in Skin Interviews showed that there.
I want to move along the interview to, I heard you got a Peloton and everybody's talking about these. I don't even know if we're allowed to talk brands on the show, but whatever. Everybody's talking about this great Peloton and I got to get one and this and that. So I want to know the last song you worked out to, maybe that you were listening to a Peloton video doing.
So you guys know I'm a spinner, right? I love to spin. And if you're going to ask me, what song are you going to put on when you're really pushing to do this? And this is going to be really embarrassing and everyone's going to think really small of me. This is not no Bruce Springsteen. This is no goddamn Breakout Boston kind of stuff. Miley Cyrus, The Climb.
What's that?
Oh, wow.
Miley Cyrus, The Climb.
I don't know. Can you sing?
Climbing, looking. I know you probably never heard that song. It's obscure. But you asked me a very specific question. What do I like to work out to? Miley Cyrus, The Climb at the end, because you just want to conquer it and win.
I'm going to have to go listen to that song unless you sing me a little verse here and there so I can maybe figure out if I know it.
If I sing, my wife will kill me.
I don't want to do that. She's already got your balls, so we want to keep you alive as long as we can. All right, if I were to make a movie about everything you just told me about your life, growing up in Kenya, coming to Canada, meeting Julie, and leading up to this point where you are in Skinterviews today, which actor would you choose to play your life?
Amitabh Bachchan.
Who's sorry? I missed that.
Bollywood actor, a little Amitabh Bachchan action going on. The Big B himself.
Oh my
wow.
The Big B, big brown guy, just got COVID. Amitabh Bachchan, you guys don't know it. I'm
No.
not Ben Kingsley or something like that. That has to be Amitabh Bachchan for me, buddy.
We're gonna have to find out who he is. I gotta get a picture of him.
He's the most famous actor in the world. Billions of people know him.
Oh my God, I feel horrible for not knowing him.
Bollywood, man. You gotta think Bollywood when you're talking to an Indian guy.
Oh my, I gotta do my research. I'm totally out of the loop here. Nathan, save me here. I'm gonna go find this guy right now.
I'm going to. So we're going to talk a little bit of business, Dr. Sapra. We're not going to go too much into it, but it's not so much business. It's more about our industry. Like, we're so lucky, the three of us, we get to work in, well, in my opinion, the greatest industry in the world. We're really lucky to do what we do on a daily basis. And from your opinion, I want to know what you think makes this industry so great that we work in.
It's exciting, right? You guys have been in this industry for a while. You've been at the top of your game. You were at the top of your game before you started and left the companies that you were in and started this amazing venture that you did, right? Imagine being in a field where every day something new happens. Mm-hmm. So think back in 1990, there was nothing. So they started injecting lips with collagen. Then they brought in microdermabrasion, which only doctors could do. Then they brought in glycolic acid peels. But things started going. They started bringing in resurfacing lasers. Gene and Alistair broke the whole band with botulinum toxin. Then hyaluronic acid fillers came in. And devices got better. You could take away hair. You could take away tattoos. And now you can take away fat. You can take people's and just apply energy and make them light. So for a 62-year-old guy, you can look like you're 52. You can look like you're 42. We just stop the aging process and add that on. And every single day, there's something new. Just the other day, I got a call for somebody with Nanopulse technology, which puts in little electrical signals into your skin. So you can take away a mole, a sebaceous gland hyperplasia, a seborrheic keratosis without any scar. Because the energy is so selective, it's just destroying the tissue you want to do.
Yeah.
And
amazing.
The patients are happy. You're actually giving them what they want. What do people want? They just want to feel healthy. They want to look good. They don't want to look funny. They just want to do a little bit that just makes them age better. And this is an amazing field for them.
Yeah.
And forget technology. Forget injectables. Even in the skincare industry, there is so much changes that happen. George, you taught me that. I remember when you came in and with the company that you were in, I said, get the hell out of here. Get the hell out of here. But you persisted, and I started reading, and I said what you did, and I started using that stuff. And I saw the changes it makes. A simple cream and sunscreen will make a dramatic difference in your skin if you know what you have to do. And the technology and the advances that are going on and the excitement, it's just fantastic. To the point, I don't want to quit. I'm just going to keep working.
Yeah.
Well, that's good for all of us and all your clients.
That is great. Yeah. Now, this is going to be a hard question for you, Dr. Sapra, because you were a very, very busy doctor and you work a lot. But do you remember your first ever patient in cosmetics or medical aesthetics?
The patient I remember the most was an elderly lady that came to me in about 1992, 1993. And there wasn't much I could do for her at that time. She had deep sun damage with wrinkles and all. I remember in 1996, I finally got myself a resurfacing laser, and she came in and I resurfaced her. And if you look at the old resurfacing, it's basically a controlled burn. And she was swollen. And I was terrified. I said, what have I just done? Right? Because I'd seen you've done your training, you've done all that. And over the next few days, I saw this swollen woman just slowly get better. And at the end of 3 months, she was about 80% better. She gave me the biggest hug and actually lifted me up at that point. I was skinnier, lifted me up. And I remember that's making a difference in somebody's life. All you did was just make them look better. But they were happier than if you'd taken away a cancer. And that's what shocked me.
Yeah.
Right? They were so happy with the change they made. And that little things make a big difference in people's lives. And it's important.
After all these years and with everything changing constantly, like there's got to be always the excitement for something new and reading the clinical data and researching it and deciding whether or not you want to perform it or carry it, etc. But after all these years, what would you say is your favorite condition to treat or procedure to use to treat a condition?
Conditions acne. If you do acne well, and you explain to people what you can do, everyone deserves beautiful skin. No matter what age you get acne, you never know what's going to happen the next day. You get up one day, you're full of zits. You get up the other day, you do it. You change your diet. You use this cream. You go get that thing done. You go get that done. But if you take that acne and you make it go away and you repair their skin and give them the beautiful skin they deserve, it is the most rewarding thing.
Right.
Not only is the patient happy, but you can actually see the change you made over the 10 months that you treated them. So for a condition, acne by far is amazing. Other things I love treating, hair loss, because a lot of people don't do hair loss well.
Yeah, right.
Hair is important, especially to women. Guys can go bald. Well, you don't see bald women. There's no woman that's going to be out there that's happy to go bald. So if you actually take hair and give them that big, full, thick hair that they want, they absolutely love it, right? Acne, hair, pigmentary disorders, skin cancers. These are all the things that I have passion for. I found a new way to take basal cell carcinomas off, treat them with something called photodynamic therapy. After you curette them, you get a 93% success rate, as opposed to surgery with a 94% success rate without any scars. So these are all innovations that you bring in that you do. That's absolutely amazing. Procedure-wise, I think the home run procedure is basically Botox. Botulinum toxin, 99% of patients are always happy with the result. It's quick, it's simple, very few side effects. There's all these, you have to educate the patient because there's all these kind of rumors and myths about Botox, when actually it's just a natural product that stops the aging process and makes you look fantastic. It's amazing. Happy patients.
Love it. And, this is a question that we don't always get enough time to ask because, the interviews tend to be a little longer, but it was a specific question that I wouldn't want to be missed by you because of who you are to this industry. So I want to know, what is, in your opinion, going to be the next big thing, the next big innovation, or the next, whether it's technology or procedure or product, that you think is going to really make a huge impact in the industry of cosmetic dermatology, or in dermatology, even basic skin health?
It's hard to answer that question because we do not know what's going on out there, right? But we got to take a look at where things are needed. And I think one of the major issues that we need is something to discover a pigmentary disorder known as melasma, right?
Yeah.
That's something that I really enjoy treating because I can get patients 70 to 80% better. What I really hate is I can't cure them and just end it. Do you understand what I mean? And
Right.
that would be one of the most exciting advances that come in. If I can treat melasma quickly, efficiently, and effectively, it would be amazing, right? Both of you have worked with skincare companies. You can see the effort that goes to taking the melasma away. There's a combined approach that we're missing here, and I think that one day technology and science will come together, and we will take a lot of people with a very distressing odor and have a lot of happy patients on it.
It's huge. Melasma is when you said acne, I was actually surprised at first because I know that you're an acne specialist, and I love that about you. Like, acne is your forte, but I really would have thought initially you would have said melasma at first, because I find that in the last few years it's so much more on the forefront of everything that everyone's trying to treat.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to melasma, we do everything you can do: skincare, laser toning, masks. But we get patients happy. The difficulty is 3 years later they come back with it all back.
Yeah, it becomes chronic.
That's the difficulty. So if we can get to the root of melasma, I think that would be a big thing in this industry, because that's the one thing that I want to be very successful in treating. Because you're right, George. It is a passion for me. It's something I've taken a very special interest in, because that pigmentary disorder destroys people's lives.
Yeah. And you're good at treating it. I've seen it firsthand. So
I'll take that.
I've seen it.
So, Dr. Sapra, we want to move to our next topic of conversation, and I think this is a really important topic, and it's something we covered in season 1 as well. And the topic is mental health. In your opinion, how do we as a community support the people around us when it comes to mental health issues?
That's a tough question to answer, because I'm not quite sure what the question is. Who responds to mental health issues? We as physicians, or just the community?
No, I think you as us as leaders in our industry, as a business owner, as people around us, family members. What's the best way we can support people in our lives, in your opinion, when it comes to mental health?
Support and guidance. I mean, the thing is, mental health is an issue that's out there right now with almost everybody. And we have to look around ourselves and recognize, between me, you, George, COVID has affected every single person in this world. COVID has changed everybody's life, and COVID has affected everyone's mental health.
Yeah.
But those that are there that were already having difficulty have gone down even more. And we can see this not only in our patients, not only in our friends, we see it in our staff, and we see it in our family. And I think the most important thing to do is recognize it's there. Don't put a label on it as being bad, good, or whatever. Just support. And we have to support each other as a community to get through this. And we have to recognize it's happening to us too. I mean, maybe you guys weren't affected by COVID. I was definitely affected.
Yeah,
Right? It dramatically changed my life. So I was lucky enough that I could work on it on my own. But there have been people in my family that we've had to get help for. And I'll be honest and straight about that, right? Because it's affected people dramatically.
I want you to think back. Dr. Sapra going the first day of med school meets Dr. Sapra today. What does Dr. Sapra today tell Dr. Sapra going into his first day of med school? Now that you look back at things, what one piece of advice would you give Dr. Sapra going into med school?
That's a tough one, because I was a totally different person then, right? And it's hard. When I went into medical school, I went into it to save the world. I really thought I was going to discover something, I was going to do something big and do that. And med school kind of beats you out of it, but it's a lot of fun too. If anyone tells you med school isn't fun, they didn't have a good medical school. Med school is a lot of work, a lot of fun. You hang around with the same 4 people, you party with them, you work with them, you cry with them, you marry them, you make love to them. It's just a lot of fun. You fight with them, right? But nearing the end of medical school, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I thought I was going to be an obstetrician until I went in there and I said, oh, I can't take this. I thought I was going to be a GI guy. I went and I said, I can't scope for dollars for the rest of my life. This is disgusting. I was stuck in an anesthesia room holding a mask. And then I looked around and I said, the happiest people are dermatologists. And I said, that's what I'm going to be. So the advice I would give to that person is look at around you and see all the happy people and follow that career. Because I'll tell you one thing, you'll see very few unhappy dermatologists. It's the one field that we actually all get along together. There's not a lot of fights. There's not a lot of anger. There's not a lot of jealousy. We just are helping with each other. We support each other. And our jobs are fun because we see our results straight away. You bring somebody's blood pressure down, you don't know it's gone. You take out somebody's cancer from a spleen, you don't get that satisfaction, that visual satisfaction of seeing, I've done my job, I'm good, I'm happy. And that is interesting.
I love that.
Great answer.
You know, before we get into the last part of the interview here, which are quick fire questions, I want to say a couple things that I've taken away so far from the interview. One, you know, you went into medical school thinking you could change the world. I know this guy that has clinical trials that he does and he operates, and maybe he could be developing and operating something for melasma that could still change the world. So don't knock it out of the park. You never know what's waiting on the other side of any door at any point. And if there's somebody that could do it, it's you, especially now that this year you guys are celebrating 25 years of ICLS dermatology and plastic surgery, which is a huge feat. Congratulations. It speaks volumes in our industry to be able to say that.
Thank you.
And you be extremely proud of yourself. So you are changing the world. You are. And if you're not changing it directly in the way you thought, you've changed it for your brother's children. You've changed it for the countless of patients you see every day. You've changed it for all the lives you've saved with skin cancers. You change it for the lives and families of the staff that work for you and are employed by you and by everyone that you touch in your life. I honestly believe in the industry, and I say it all the time. You have changed my career path in this industry because I look at it so differently from you.
George, you're making me blush again.
Don't blush on me, because then I'm gonna have to ask.
But I'm blushing. I'm blushing. I really am. I'm blushing.
All right, well, let's get into the good questions here before we get to the end of the interview. So I'm going to ask you a question. You're going to give me the first and fastest answer that pops into your head. All right, what's your favorite thing in your closet right now?
Suit.
Dark chocolate or milk chocolate?
Milk chocolate.
If you could be from any other decade or era, which would it be?
The 60s.
iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
Any tattoos?
None.
If you had a superpower, what would it be?
To be drink all the champagne I can in one go.
All right, touching on that, your house is on fire. What two things do you run back in and get?
My family.
Not the champagne?
No.
Do you prefer texting or talking?
Talking.
Your ultimate best friend would be Beyonce or Rihanna?
Pass.
Yoga or Pilates?
Oh, yoga.
Okay.
How yoga?
You're going to fashion event, the fashion event of the year. Which designer is dressing you?
Paul Soler.
A place you haven't traveled to but is on your bucket list.
Greenland.
And if you had to pick Nathan or me?
Oh, we know this.
George. And you too, Nathan, at the same time.
I snuck one in.
You got one in. You got one in. I'm gonna let Nathan ask you the final two questions of the show. But before he does, I want to say thank you so much for being here. And you know, when we do ask you the last two questions, make sure you stay backstage because I'd love to catch up with you as we end the show. It means so much for me to have you here, and I can't wait till we can get back to somewhat of a new normal or a new regular rhythm that I can visit you more often in the clinic and see how you're doing up close and personal.
Missing you too, George.
Awesome, Dr. Sapra. I've got two last questions, and then we're going to send it back to George and a word from our sponsors to close up the show. But one of the first question is, what is your current skincare routine?
For me, it's actually pretty simple. Unfortunately, I'm a dermatologist that is basically allergic to most things. So I have contact dermatitis to everything. So you guys are going to laugh at what I do. I use a product called Cispera or Siestamine, which is for pigmentation.
Yep.
You put it on for about 15 minutes. Smells like rotten eggs. Wash it off.
Yeah.
And then petroleum jelly. This is the only thing I can use because I'm allergic to almost every single ingredient out there. I have severe contact dermatitis.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Okay, then the last question is, who would you like us to interview next on the show?
That's a tough one. Martin Braun. Have you done Martin?
No, we haven't.
Martin has to be the next guy.
Okay, do you think you could maybe make an introduction?
Botox now that he lost the crown. Just tell him he's lost the crown. He has to come on the show and defend himself.
Okay.
The reigning champion. I am the reigning champion. Send this feed to him. Martin, I'm the reigning champion. Come over here. Prove it.
Okay, well, we'll definitely talk to you about that after the show. Dr. Sapra, it's always a pleasure to catch up with you. As George said, I can't wait till COVID settles down a bit and we can actually meet for a glass of champagne at a local pub or a local restaurant near you. It's just been such a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, guys.
No worries. What I'm going to do now to all you guests out there, we're going to have a quick word from our sponsors, and then we're going to bring it back to the main man, George, to finish the show. Thank you for watching, guys.
Thank you so much for watching Skinterviews Season 2 episode with Dr. Sheetal Sapra from ICLS Dermatology and Plastic Surgery. A big thank you, of course, to Fullscript, who is our proud sponsor of Season 2. I want to take a moment and reflect on this whole interview, from today, and just take away that importance of family, especially during these difficult times. You know, family isn't always necessarily just the people you live at home with. One of the things I love so much about ICLS is when you walk in there and you meet all the staff and you meet how they operate and how they treat you, the way they welcome you through the door. They are a family too. And the people we work with and the people that are in our industry, for Nathan and I, have become very much a family. So we thank you for being part of our family. We thank you for allowing us to be part of yours. And for all our viewers, we thank you for giving us the time to actually sit and view these interviews and get to know these amazing leaders in our industry and all the hardships that they had maybe getting to where they are today. These are their incredible stories, and Skinterviews has been able to give us the platform to share them. And as one doctor put it best from last season, Dr. Julia Carroll, she said that we took the masks off the doctors, and that's big for us. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all the messages of love and support, all the questions you have. We look forward to answering them all. You can follow us on Instagram at skin.terviews, at Facebook, facebook.com/skin.terviews. Of course, LinkedIn Skinterviews by Nathan and George. And Skinterviews is also proudly produced and created by The Revenue Doctors. Head over to therevenuedoctors.com and look under the tab for Skinterviews to see all our season 1 episodes and, of course, all the episodes coming up for season 2. We thank you for watching. Have a wonderful night. Take care of your loved ones and take extra care of all the people you consider to be family. And don't forget your skin. I'll kick your butt. Have a good night.